welcome to Stage Dallas. Artie Eliason is away tonight. I'm sitting in for him. My name is Dwight Mandel, and tonight we're going to spotlight the Addison Center Theater's current production of Ondine, also said Ondine. Any other pronunciation?
Not that I know of.
It's a discrepancy as to where to put the accent. Our guests tonight are Mary Margaret Pyatt and Stephen Lynn, and I'd like to welcome both of you and thank you for sharing your Monday evening with me.
Thank you.
Now, Mary Margaret, I have seen you in several other productions, so that our viewers know where else they've seen you. What else have you been in around Metroplex?
Last thing I did was Guinevere and Camelot at the Pocket Sandwich Theater. And I guess the most notorious thing I've done was Columbia and the Rocky Horror Show at the Extinct New Arts Theater.
Now, did you do the tour or did you did the original?
I did the second show and the tour, such as it was. We only went to Austin.
And you also were in Black Comedy at the Pocket Sandwich Theater. What else have you done?
What else? I was in Passion Play at the Theater Center. I just had a bit part in that. And I've done a couple of things the last few years at the Dinner Theater in Amarillo, which is an experience in itself.
I just met a friend yesterday who stopped in. She's doing a show out at the Dinner Theater right now.
Yeah?
She drove in for the weekend.
This is an Allison Reed.
Yes, it was. Yes, as a matter of fact. And Steve, now you have a background also as a critic for the Dallas Observer.
I've worked for the Observer as a critic, yes.
Now, what else have you done on stage?
Well, the most recent thing I did was the Shakespeare Festival of 1985. I played Captain McMorris and John Bates in Henry V. And the first thing I did in Dallas was Death of a Salesman for Dallas Repertory Theater, in which I played Happy, the younger brother.
How many years ago was that?
That was in 1976, and since then, what can I say? It averages out to about one play a year. But as I say, the most recent thing I've done aside from this play, which was kind of unexpected. I didn't expect to be acting again, but here I am. And I will say that this is not my ordinary street red. I am in character, yes. The makeup, yes, but costume, no.
That is your normal street makeup.
That's very different. A little toned down for the street, maybe. But, yeah, the Shakespeare Festival was the most recent thing.
All right. Now, Ondine is one of these
shows. One thing. I think you sort of discovered Mary Margaret because I saw her in a production of The Country Wife at, UTD?
Yes.
And she was absolutely delightful. So when she appeared in Passion Play, when she was in as Columbia and New Arts, I could say, I knew this girl when...
And I've given her a big break.
Well, no, not exactly, but that was the implication.
I see.
But it's delightful and very unexpected to be working with her because I liked her work from the very beginning, so it's really nice to happen. And also to be working with Kyle McLaren because he's, of course, directed this show, and Kyle's productions are always spectacular. And I wanted to work with him ever since I saw his children's production of Sleeping Beauty, which featured an erotic combat between the evil fairy and a very wimpish prince. And I thought, this guy's got something.
There's usually some sort of eroticism in just about all of his productions that I've ever seen.
Just a tad. And people who see this show, I think, will be impressed by not only this Ondine, but by her fellow Ondines, who are gorgeous.
Well, now, Ondine is not a well-known show. I think I'm pretty safe in saying that. It's by Jean Giraudoux. We're going to have a short scene from it. They did not come in leftover Halloween costumes. They have been home and changed clothes since Halloween, and these are the costumes from the show, so that they have some idea of where this scene fits in and who you are and how you've come to this point. Can you give a brief synopsis of your characters or the plot of the show or something, so just to kind of clue them in so they know what they're watching?
Okay. Would you like to do the honors?
No, I don't know anything about any scenes except the ones I'm in.
Okay.
But Mary Margaret is in more than I am.
You're throughout the show. You have the title character, so...
Okay, well, I am Anne Ondine, and my name also is Ondine. I'm a sea nymph, or mermaid, if you will, who has become human and fallen in love with a knight, gone away with him to his kingdom and married him. The deal was, I made a pact with my uncle, the king of the sea, before I went away, that if he ever deceived me, meaning was unfaithful to me...
If the knight ever deceived you.
Right, that he would die. So he comes across his old flame when we get back to court, who is intent on seducing him, and I know it, and I'm very afraid of it because I know that he'll die, but nobody believes me when I tell them that. I'm trying to convince the king in this scene that he really will die if he deceives me, and the king thinks I'm a charming, imaginative child, and that's about it.
Don't worry your pretty little head over things like that. Basically, it's his attitude. And she's kind of a Cassandra because several times during the play she predicts terrible things that are going to happen, and everybody says, she's charming.
Sure, right. Yeah.
Now, do we need any more insight into your character?
I think my character is important only insofar as he relates to her, in that he's a powerful man who just doesn't get the point at all, as people seem not to around Ondine. I was trying to think, there's much reference to someone called Hans, which of course is the man she's in love with, who was to marry a lady with the lovely name of Bertha, who is my adopted daughter, and who's the one that she has insulted mortally at the beginning. One thing I will add is that in the scene itself, when audiences come to see this play, all the makeup I'm wearing particularly makes sense because the atmosphere of the scene at this semi-barbaric court is smoky, torch-lit, strange indeed, and so it all makes sense under these lights.
Typical of
perhaps not less.
Typical of the McLaren production.
Very much
very
so.
Theatrical, very much larger than life, mystical, magical.
Mm-hmm. One of the appeals of this play is that it's accessible to people on sort of a fairy tale level. It's a charming romance, but there's also elements of political satire and certainly of tragedy in the play. So you can take it on almost any level you want as a charming romance, or however you will.
All right, well, if we could, let's cut away for just a second. We'll show you a little bit of the program, then we'll come back and see some of the production of Ondine and talk to Mary Margaret and Steve afterwards.
Okay, what I'd like you to do is just stand up.
My little Ondine, I like you very much. It's a rare pleasure to hear a voice like yours at court, even when this voice insists on discussing my what? Which, incidentally, I inherited from Hercules, precisely as you described. But, for your own sake, tell me the truth.
Oh, yes, yes, I shall tell you the truth.
Who are you, my child?
I belong to the water. I am an Ondine.
How old are you?
16, but I was born many ages ago, and I shall never die.
What are you doing here? Does our world attract you?
From the water, it seems so beautiful.
From the land?
There are ways to have water before one's eyes, always.
And it is in order to make our world seem beautiful that you are sad?
No. It's because they wish to take Hans away from me.
And suppose they did, would that be so great a misfortune?
Yes, a terrible misfortune. If he deceives me, he will die.
Don't worry, my dear. Men have been known to survive under those conditions.
Not this one.
And what makes you think he will deceive you?
I don't know. But they knew it the moment they saw him. Isn't it strange? The lake had never known deceit. Not even the sound of the word. And then one day there appeared on its banks a handsome man with a loyal face and an honest voice. And that very moment the word deceit thrilled through the depths.
Oh, poor Ondine.
It's because your world is inverted in ours. All the things I trust in Hans, his straight look, his clear words, to the water they seem crooked and cunning. He said he would love me always. And the water said he will deceive you.
The water speaks.
Everything in the universe speaks, even the fish. Each time I left the cottage that night, they spat the word at me. He is beautiful, I said. Yes, said the bass, he will deceive you. He is strong, I said. Yes, said the perch, he will deceive you. Are you fond of perch by any chance?
I have no particular feeling about them.
Spiteful little things. But I was proud of him. I decided to take the risk. I made the pact.
Pact? What pact?
The king, my uncle, said to me, you agree that he shall die if he deceives you.
But after all, what power has your uncle over him? What danger is he in?
Whatever is wave or water is angry with him. If he goes near a well, the level rises. When it rains, the water drenches him to the skin. Wherever he goes, the water reaches after him.
Will you take my advice, little Ondine?
Yes?
Go away, my dear.
With Hans?
Dive into the first river you come to and vanish forever.
But he's so clumsy in the water.
You've had 3 months of happiness with Hans. In our world, such is a lifetime. Go while there is time.
Without Hans?
He's not for you. His soul is small. Human souls are tiny. No man has a soul great enough for Ondine.
I wouldn't love him if there were. I have already seen men with great souls. They're completely wrapped up in them. Oh, no. The only men whom one can love are those who are just like other men, whose thoughts are the thoughts of other men, who are distinguished from other men only by being themselves and nothing more.
You're describing Hans.
Yes, that is Hans.
Well, if you wish to save him, leave him.
No, I cannot save him by leaving him. If I leave him, they will say he deceived me and Hans will die. No, the only way that I can save him is here. Here.
And how do you propose to do that, little Ondine?
I have the remedy. It came to me while I was quarreling with Bertha. Did you notice, each time I came between Hans and Bertha, I succeeded only in bringing them more closely together? The instant I said something against Bertha, he sprang to a defense. Very well. From now on, I shall do exactly the opposite. I shall tell him 20 times a day how beautiful Bertha is, how right she is. Then she will be wrong. I shall manage so that they are always alone. Then they will no longer feel the slightest desire for each other. In this way, with Bertha always there, I shall have Hans completely to myself. How well I understand men, don't I? Oh, Your Majesty, what are you doing?
The king thanks you, my child,
Thanks me? For what?
for a lesson in true love.
My idea is good?
Stupendous.
Thank you. That was a scene from Addison Center Theater's current production of Ondine, and in case I have forgot to give the number before, it is 934-3913. And our actress and actor tonight were Mary Margaret Pyatt and Steve Lynn, and they're back with me now. Welcome back to this side of the studio. What do you think the audience needs to know in order to come and enjoy this show more? I think a lot of people might be a little scared of something they don't know about or a little intimidated by it. What can you tell them about it? Is there a special message they should look for, or should they just enjoy it as a fantasy?
I think they should just enjoy it as a fairy tale. And
Absolutely. Just relax and enjoy. It's a terrific show.
I mean, if you're really into digging deeper, there's a lot of things to be said about humanity in this play.
Did Kyle ever talk to you about those?
No, we really didn't. We didn't delve into it.
So you worked mostly with it as a fantasy, directing and acting?
Uh-huh.
Did it have any special problems, for example, for you? I mean, how do you develop a nymph character, something that is, I hate to say not like yourself, but, you know, something that is not a human character?
Well, I don't know. It's kind of fun. You just sort of start using your imagination and kind of getting in touch with that part of yourself that really loves fairy tale and fantasy and magic and that sort of thing.
Is this something that you live with during the day? Does it start to invade your own life?
Oh, sure. Any role you ever do sort of does in a way. I mean, you find yourself relating to people the way perhaps Ondine would, you know. I mean, not on a large-scale way or anything, but sure, in a way, any role you ever do sort of does that.
This kind of makes you wonder what Sissy Spacek acted like when she was filming Carrie, doesn't it? Steve, what kind of challenges did this present to you? Anything special or particular?
Well, one of the interesting things is that I play not only this character, but a corrupt judge. This is Act 2. He's in Act 3, and he's a totally different character. I won't go into it, but I think you will be able to distinguish between the two. And
basically, you have this doughty monarch and then this groveling, evil judge, and I basically thought Ronald Reagan and Robert Bork. And it's Reagan's testy side that gave, you didn't see the testy side of the king when he, gets all het up about things, but that's my favorite side of him, actually.
Are those the political overtones?
Yeah, that's what Gene had in mind when he wrote the play. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's vision.
But actually the universality is, one aspect of the play. You can see what you put into it, but basically what audiences will see is a pretty spectacular show because it's a large cast. There are about 25 characters altogether. There are 3 set changes, running water, stalactites, stalagmites,
so it's fog, light,
visually gorgeous,
music,
and
everything.
lots of music. It's, as we said, a McLaren production. You said, what do they need to bring to it? Just basically an appetite to be entertained. And incidentally, one thing I will add, I was sort of cowed by the idea of getting out to Addison. It's a long way away. But if you know how to get to the tollway, you're
it's a
5 minutes away.
It's
yeah.
a real fast drive.
And no problem getting there.
It's right underneath the water tower in Addison, which is usually lighted at night, is it not?
Yeah.
So as soon as you see and it's right across from the Addison airport. Steve, I'm particularly interested as a former critic, and will you perhaps go back to being a critic or a reviewer for the Observer?
Perhaps so, although, of course, when you're performing and rehearsing, that cuts into the time quite a bit.
I know that both of the major papers have been there already, have they not, to see the show?
No, the Title and the Observer have been there.
Is there something that you particularly want to see in print in a review?
I hope they don't take the show too seriously. I hope they will emphasize the fact that it is a wonderful piece of entertainment, and that on one level it's almost like a musical comedy. With all the water, somebody said it sounds like an Esther Williams movie, and it's not glitzy, but yeah, there are elements of glitz in it too, as a matter of fact. But it's just a damn good show and very entertaining and charming, and I hope reviewers don't pick up on more lurid aspects of it or whatever. Just let them know that the audiences enjoy the show immensely and do pick up on the comedic aspects of it and the entertaining aspects of it.
Mary Margaret, do you have anything to add to that? Is there something you would particularly like to see in print other than this girl is going to be a star.
Going to be.
No, I don't think so.
Just come with an open mind and enjoy it and have a wonderful time.
Be prepared to be scared and
Thrills
in
and
certain
chills.
places.
Let me mention some of the rest of the cast because it's a wonderful cast. Jane Titus is in it, who's worked around town a lot. Stephen Mosier, Terry McCracken, John Whitaker, Bridget, and help me with Bridget's last name so I don't trip over it. Bavasset, thank you.
Those Ondines are something.
Right.
They're worth the price of admission.
As a matter of fact, they went in their costume to enter a costume party, a costume contest on Halloween night, and I still don't know if they won or not.
All right, they're somewhat scanty costumes, but tastefully scanty. It
All the fig leaves and seashells in the right place.
Cover the necessary euphemisms. Already the time is gone. Unfortunately, I always have more questions here than we get to. I'd like to thank our guests once again, Mary Margaret Pyatt, Stephen Lynn, and we've been talking about the Addison production of Ondine. I'd like to thank you for watching. Next week we're going to talk with Mark Torres, who is the artistic director of the Moving Target Theater Company. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.